Hello and welcome to another video. This is SnowStorm TCG and today we're gonna be playing around with OP15 Black Crocodile. This is one of my all-time favorite decks, to be honest. This is a deck I mained in the OP14 through EB03 meta, and he can still pack a punch in OP15 as well. As a disclaimer, I haven't tested all the new matchups in OP15 yet. I will showcase some of them in today's video and a couple of less meta relevant stuff as well, just for fun. But super fun deck in my opinion. It has a very fixed list for the most part, since you pretty much have to run almost exclusively Baroque Work cards. The new addition from OP15, however, is this card, the Nightmare Luffy, which is such a good card overall, and we're running it as a 4-0 right now. This deck can mill very easily as well, so it's super easy to get down to, or rather to get up to 20 cards or more in trash, which will turn on the second effect of this card to make your leader a 7k power leader during your opponent's turn, which helps a lot with the defenses. And it's also a really big, strong body to have on the field, of course. So that's the new addition. Otherwise, it's pretty much nothing has changed since OP14. There was a couple of support cards released in EB03, but honestly, I haven't even tried them out. They could be something, but there's nothing else I want to cut down from this list, honestly. I believe perhaps the most controversial thing about my current list is that I'm only running 2 of the patchwork, Hot Couture patchwork. Most lists that I've seen still run 4. There are exceptions though. But I felt like I didn't want to cut down on more of these 5 cost targets for Bonkley. I wanted to keep them as high as possible for consistency's sake, and also I wanted to run 4 of this to be able to draw into this more often. And patchwork can be incredibly good, obviously, but I've also felt like a lot of times it's just a brick in hand. This one is not a brick, so that's a big up for this card as well. So I tried going down to 2 only, and I still gotta do more testing with this specific build with these ratios, but I put together this list and then I jumped into the sim. I played 6 games and 5 of those made it into today's video. So far I feel like it's a pretty good list. Ratios feel pretty good. I'm milling harder now than I did before, just because now we want to fill our trash quicker so we can activate these effects from this card. Previously in OP14 and EB03, I stopped milling when I had at least 10 cards in trash and at least 1 each of these 5 drops. But now we want to get down to 20 or more cards in trash to activate the second effect here. So yeah, I'm not gonna talk too much more about it right now. Instead, we'll just jump straight into the games and go from there. Okay, so for the first game, we're up against Black Emu. Emu is still a very relevant matchup that you gotta practice, even though it's not gonna see as much play, I believe, in OP15, partly because Lucy has the Memento event that can bounce his stage back to hand, which is devastating for Emu. And we were able to take second away from him as well, which is a really good thing. And against Emu as Black Croc, the game plan is a bit different than usual. Basically, we want to have as many Mr. 2s as possible, and also Miss All Sunday. We want to spam the board with Mr. 2. And we don't want to use the leader effect to pop them and play something out from trash. Simply because then he can just play Mars and get rid of whatever we play out with Bon Clay. So instead, we want to make sure there are 5 cost targets in trash for Bon Clay, but still let Bon Clay stay on the board. That way he will be punished if he plays Mars to pop one of our Bon Clays, because he will just be replaced with another body from trash. And as soon as we can, we want to start spamming Miss All Sunday, playing out more Bon Clays from trash. So you want to go wide with lots of Bon Clays and Miss All Sundays. Here we give up this one and place out a Sala instead. Alright, so we have a pretty good setup. The thing we're missing most so far is the ground death events. Sorry about the background noises. My son is going wild downstairs. Okay, so he gave up Nasturo with the first 5 poke, which is good. And here I expected the event as well. Okay, so now we find our first ground death, which is big. We definitely need that. Completely expecting Sala to go here. Yeah, exactly. He plays Mars to get rid of our Sala. And we have a pretty good amount of counter in hand. I don't want to go down in life too quickly because he hasn't started chaining his 10 drops yet. And so I believe I'm gonna 2k 1k out of this one. Because if possible, we want to save at least 1 ground death in hand for when we're about to go for game. I will be able to showcase what that looks like in a little bit here. We're of course not going for game this turn though. So here, let's see what we do. I believe I'm just gonna play another All Sunday, which is the best thing to do here. Poking a little bit first, we get another event, which is good. And All Sunday into Bon Clay. I'm thinking about whether or not it's worth it to play out another Searcher, but I don't think it is, and I don't do that either, because this is pretty much the best board you can have against Emu. We have double Miss All Sunday and triple Mr. 2, so that makes it so he cannot use his Mars effect to pop a Bon Clay, because then he will get punished. The Bon Clay will be replaced by something else from trash, a stronger body. And we're a bit lucky. He didn't have all the 5 elders to play out. He was missing the Saturn. And I'm thinking whether or not I can protect this one, but it's not worth it. He can just load up a lot of Don on the leader and swing at it again. So here we go down to 2 life. And I believe we're not gonna go for game this turn either. He's got 4 Dawn up. I'm checking how many events he had in trash. He could easily have 4 counter events in hand. I don't think that's the case, but it could be. So I'm gonna poke 5 first at Nasturo. We get 1 event. He picks up a 2k from trash. I believe I'm gonna poke another 5. And this turn, I want to play out a Nightmare Luffy to bump our leader during his next turn. And also I want to pop 1 of my Bon Clays and replace him with a blocker. Because at least one of his bodies will stay on the board, and that character will swing before he plays the next 10 drop. So then I can get value from a blocker before he's able to pop it with Mars. So he uses up all the blockers here. Only have one Jupiter left on the board. So we're gonna pop this Mr. 2 and replace him with a Mr. 5 to have a blocker and get some more card filtering as well. We draw into a 2k 1k, which is good. So we're gonna get rid of 1k. And now we can play a Nightmare Luffy and keep one down up for an emergency ground death here, which we hopefully won't have to use, because the next turn we want to go for game. They're at 1 life. We have a really good board set up. We are gonna try and protect our board as much as possible. I'm a bit surprised. Gotta pause for a second. I'm a bit surprised he swung at Miss All Sunday here. If he wanted to go board, I think he should have gone for Bon Clay, because sure, that would have been replaced with another body from trash. But then, well, unless I blocked, of course, which I was always gonna do. But just theoretically, had I not blocked this, he could get rid then of one of those two with Mars when he plays the 10 drop. But wherever he swung this with this character, I was always gonna block. That's the only way I can get any value from this blocker, because as soon as Mars hits the field, this is gone anyway. So this is a no-brainer block right here. Now here comes the second 10 drop, and this time he will have all the 5 elders. So he's got 2 more swings for the turn. We are a 7k leader here. Now I definitely want to protect my board, because I want to have as many swings as possible on my next turn when we're going for game. And I won't use ground death here, because we need that to go for game. So I'm going to 2k 1k out of this one. 2k 1k, yeah. So now we have pretty much the perfect setup to go for game. He has 2 done up, but only 4 cards in hand and 1 life. And he won't be able to use any of the blockers this turn. The first thing we're going to do is to use the main effect of Ground Death to nullify the War Curie blocker. That way he cannot block and draw another card with that one. And now I'm going to poke 5, hoping that he won't block with Mars, because then we can pop Mars, give mine, sorry, then we can pop our Bon Clay, give minus cost to the Mars, play out Dust Bones to rest the Mars. So all of a sudden he don't have any blockers for this turn. So this is the optimum scenario. So here he has 3 cards left. This Dust Bones only have Character Rush basically. So I was just poking here, and for some reason he gave me a counter with this one. Maybe he didn't realize yet that this blocker was nullified. I have no idea. Or it was just a misclick. Either way, I don't know. That pretty much secured the game for us even more. But it was always going to be over here anyway, because we have 3 more swings. After this Nightmare swing, he took the last life. We go 9 at face. He uses the event, and then 11 and 5. Okay, so that's game. So yeah, he did have 1 ground death left, but there was no way he could have survived this. We had the perfect setup with the board wide, a lot of Bon Clays throughout the game and all Sundays. And this is the way you want to go for game against Emu as Crocodile. You want to use the ground death to nullify War Curie. That way, you negate 1 block and a card draw. And then Hopefully you have been able to keep a lot of Bonclays on the board until late game. When you want to go for game, then you can do what I just did. You poke first with 5 after nullifying this one. You poke a 5 and hope that he won't block with this one. And then you pop the Bonclay with the leader effect to play out Dust Bounce, rest that one, and then you go just all in phase. So good game to our opponent. This was a really good game to showcase how to play against Emu with Black Crocodile. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Okay, game number 2. We're up against Purple Enel here. We went first, and we have a pretty good starting hand here. With Black Crocodile, you generally want to go second. But against decks that really want to go first, it can be worth it to take first from them. And I believe Purple Enel generally want to go first. I gotta do even more testing to be completely certain, but I believe it's better to go first with Croc against Enel. And as I said, we have a pretty good setup here. We have Bonclay, we have Miss All Sunday, and Crocodile. And Crocodile is gonna be a key card in this matchup, because when he starts spamming the board with his big NL bodies, we want to start spamming the board with our Crocs to freeze them, making sure that they can basically never attack. So all we gotta do is survive until the late game where we can start chaining Crocs. Of course, we also have to find all our Crocodiles, or enough of them. Okay, checking the trash here to see what we have. There's no use in swinging at his small bodies here, since he will have at least one left anyway. Gonna play out the blocker, Mr. 5 blocker, to cycle more cards and to be able to protect us a bit better until late game. We pitch a Croc here because we have so many bricks in hand, and we have double Croc and a Miss All Sunday already. Generally speaking, with the Crocodile, okay, so as expected, he could use his combo with the events to rest and freeze our Mr. 5 here. Actually gonna take this one, and there's gonna be a 7, no, only a 6, okay. But we only have one case, so I'm actually taking this one as well. We draw into another Croc, so that's good to see. Okay, generally speaking, with Crocodile, even if you go second, you want to play Miss All Sunday out before you start chaining your Crocs to go wide on the board as much as possible. So you have some swings the turn you're playing your first Crocodile as well. Okay, so we go All Sunday into Bonclay and a Searcher. We get another Ground Death or a 2k. I'm gonna grab a 2k here because we are pretty low on counter in hand, and we won't have any Dawn up for Ground Death now anyway. We opted to go for the Mr. 4 blocker, just because he can get a lot of swings in this turn. We don't want to use up too many resources from hand if we can help it. So we're basically just hoping he don't have another Mamaragan in hand to rest our Mr. 4 babe. He could easily have that, but we're crossing our fingers here that we can get some value out from this Mr. 4. He uses Lightning Dragon to freeze our Mr. 5 again. Swings for 7 with Shura. So we know he have his Enel swing. I'm gonna 2k 1k out of this, and he did not have another Mamaragan, which is awesome for us. So we get to block this and grab another 2k back from trash. Alright, so now it's time for our Crocs to enter play. He does have 2 Enels, so we can get optimal value from our first Croc here. Freeze one of them, pop pop croc. And trashing probably... I don't remember what I trash here actually. I'm thinking we could trash a croc here to keep counter and maybe even play out Nightmare Luffy. No, okay, we do that. Yeah, and then freeze the other no. I say freeze, but yeah, they can't attack at least. So now we have a really good setup. We're both at 2 lives. We have a decent amount of counter in hand right now. And our board is starting to look good. He plays the blocker Enel, the one that can turn into a blocker. So I believe he's likely going to make that one a blocker this turn. Question is, how many more of the events does he have? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's used up triple Lightning Dragon so far. The bad thing for us though that I realized here is that we have triple Ground Death in trash already. So the Ground Death we have in hand is the last one we can use for the entire game. So that's not great. But at the same time we have more crocs. We can continue to freeze his big Enel bodies here. So it should be all good. Now let's see what he does here. 7 phase. I believe I'm gonna actually 2k out here. Yeah, I want to stay as healthy as possible for as long as possible, and our crocs will help us draw into some more cards as well. At least 1 more card per turn. And we also have the Ground Death. So it should be fine. I'm gonna go ahead and swing with our blocker here, simply because he could have, even though he might not have another Lightning Dragon, he could easily have another Mamaragan, Kaiten and Mamaragan, to give him -1k power and resting him. So we're gonna use him as an attacker to get some value out of him. And we freeze both Secret Enels again. He did go down to 0 life, so this is a really good setup for us. Basically, he has to win here this turn, or he loses. Unless he has a ridiculous amount of counter in hand and could play out another blocker Enel, perhaps have 2 big blockers or something. But we can see he has used up a fair bit of the counter events. Lightning Dragon is the event he's used most, but that one doesn't have a counter, so he could still have a decent amount of counter in hand, but pretty much he gotta go for game this turn. Or try to combat our board as much as possible and sit on double blocker, but either way that's not gonna look good for him. So he's taking some time to think about his options here. We don't have a single brick in hand, which is really good. So we have 2k, 1k, 1k, and a Ground Death. And if he commits for a game here, that's right. Okay, so he plays out Holly. This is probably the best thing he could do here. He plays Holly to give his own double attack. He uses L4 to bump him up by 1k. Another L4. So Ohm is now plus 2k. His best bet here is to get a really big double attack swing in, take my last 2 lives, and then go all in with his leader and blocker Enel and hope that that is enough. He's cycling as many cards as possible. Maybe looking for more Thors or something. Okay, so he goes 9 double attack. So we know it's over now, because we can easily get out of a 9. I'm just doing the math to see what his swings could be if I potentially take this one, because I want to bait him to go all in for game. That pretty much guarantees our win. But I realize it's just immediately gonna be over if we counter out of this one, because all he can do now is try to go for our board, but it's never going to be enough anyway. So the game is over, and he quits. Yeah. So that was a good game, in my opinion. Crocodile, the secret Crocodile, is a key card against purple Enel to just perma-freeze these secret Enels. And yeah, you want to stall the game until you can start chaining your crocs, and that's pretty much it. So this feels like a pretty good matchup for Crocodile, honestly. Good game to our opponent. Let's move on to the next one. All right, Lucy. And we did not have a good starting hand, so we're always gonna mulligan that one. Now we have double Searcher and a Bone Clay. So Searching and Bone Clays, those are cards you always want to have in your starting hand, and then you want to be able to, so you always want to play out Bone Clay on curve if possible. We took first from them here, so we delay their blocker Sabo by 1 turn. And do we go for the ground death here or a 2k? I believe I do 2k, yeah. And we're going to use the 2k to cycle cards. And here we get double 5-drop, which is really good. We had a Sala in trash already, so I'm going to trash a Mr. 5 and a Bone Clay, because next time we're playing a Bone Clay from hand, and then we can play Missile Sunday to get back a Bone Clay from trash as well. We get a search trigger, awesome. Grab a Mr. 1, because there was another one that goes to trash either way. So here we can negate his blocker here by playing out Mr. 1 and resting it. Just poking with his Valentine to get rid of that Rebecca immediately. Really good value here from Das Bones. Then we're just gonna go 5 face and search again. He gets a Buddy Pistol trigger, which is really good for him. Alright. I believe that this matchup probably is pretty favorable for Croc as well, because he wanna stall, Lucy wanna stall, and just rely on his big Sabo blockers late game. But we also want to stall, and we can perma-freeze his blockers late game with our secret Croc. So I feel so far like this is a pretty good matchup for Crocodile, honestly. But again, gotta do more testing to know for sure. By the way, all the games in today's video are ranked games. However, I haven't played much ranked for quite a long time, so we're pretty low in bounty now. I believe we're only around like 300 million or something like that. So yeah, nothing crazy at all yet. So if you see some suboptimal plays every now and then from my opponents, that could be why as well, because we are in low bounty territory still. Here he should have just free blocked this one, because if you know anything about how Crocodile plays, you would always expect an 8-drop Crocodile after that. I would never load up on a searcher to swing big with the rest of the dawn here. Alright. We have a really good setup. We have double ground death, another croc. So that sub blocker will never be able to swing. We're just gonna poke 5, 8, 10 probably, and then play another crocodile. He's countering very aggressively here. Maybe he felt like he had to. I obviously don't know what he has in hand. But he gets another sub blocker out. And he gives his leader double attack here. Goes for 10, 11 double attack. So I could easily get out of this one with a ground death, 2k, 1k. Alright, let's see. So now he has 2 big blockers. He's got 5 cards in hand and 2 life. My son is protesting in the background. I think he don't want to go to bed or something. Okay, so let's see. We poke 5 first. Then we're probably gonna swing 9 with Miss on Sunday. Or 8. Oh, okay. I forgot about this. He just quit. He gave up. And I'm not blaming him because, yeah, he couldn't do anything to win this game, I believe, in my opinion. He has 5 cards in hand, 2 life, double blocker, sure, but he could never have these blockers stay on board. Because after this, I'm gonna most likely swing 9 with Miss of Sunday, making it so he cannot free block any swing here other than this one. And then double 10 after that. Then we don't have another crocodile in hand, but we would go for Miss All Sunday to flood the board a bit more. Probably play Miss All Sunday here and then a bomb play, pop that, make him a blocker, something like that. Because these two should never survive this turn. Most likely. So yeah, that was a tough one for our opponent. And yeah, good game. Let's move on to the next one. Okay. Now we have a game against Yellow Enel. This is kind of fun to me because this is my pretty much current main against my old main. So yeah, a fun one. 2 decks that I really love and enjoy playing. I took I took second here because that's our most optimal curve. And I'm gonna use Miss Golden Week to cycle cards. We do have a patchwork, but I'm probably gonna pitch that, yeah, because I value the other cards here more. We have a Bon Clay for next turn, which is really good. It goes 8 face, okay, so we always take that one. And we top deck another patchwork, which is great. That can definitely come in handy. This is so I just took my chances with this Mr. 2. We didn't have a target in trash, so this was a gamble, and it backfired. I hoped that I would get a target in trash with a mill effect from the leader, but we didn't. So instead, we got a searcher out, and so we lost some value there, but we find a ground death at least, and now we know for sure we have a target in trash for coming Bon Clays. But that was really unfortunate. I knew when I did pop that Bon Clay that there's a possibility we won't see a target, but I took my chances. And yeah, that happens. So here we don't have a play. I'm just gonna poke 5 again and see. Okay, so he took that. Then I don't want to go another 5 because he can just cycle his life with a leader effect. So he plays Nami. We have to take a life. And now we're finally at 8 Dawn. We're gonna go for the first Miss All Sunday here. Into Boneplay and another Searcher. So Croc or Ground Death? I'm gonna go with Ground Death because we don't have much counter in hand. And now we can freeze this Kikunojo with the Patchwork that we have in hand. We get Mr. 5 blocker out. That also lets us cycle some cards. Swinging 5 face. I forgot what I did here. I just swung without thinking. I never should have swung here because he gets to cycle his life. So now we just use the last Dawn to freeze his Kikunojo with a Patchwork and pass the turn. He goes Viper. So this is really good information. Now we know he have a 10-drop Enel as his last life. So we don't have to worry when we swing into that last life of his. Because we know for a fact it is not "you are the one who should disappear" trigger. Which is always good to know. So I believe I'm gonna poke into the Nami here and see if he lets it go, if he has a target to play out off of her. And we're lucky. He doesn't have that. So that's good. Now we poke 6 here to see if he want to heal or not. He does not. He won't give it up that easily. And it's always going to be a Crocodile here. And I believe I'm gonna, when I pop Crocodile, I will give Kikunojo minus 4 cost here, just in hopes of maybe drawing into a Patchwork. But then, never mind. We have to freeze before we draw the card. So the thinking here is I did not want to freeze Viper. I want him to swing with Viper so we can take that one out, because Viper generates value while on the board. Every turn he can attach Arrested Dawn through Viper's effect. Whereas Kikunojo can only bring more value if it's KO'd. Then he'll heal off of it. So we want him to turn his Viper sideways so we can remove that one from the field. So the question is, what will he do here? He's at 10 Dawn. He only have 2 swings on the board currently. Looks like he's gonna swing for 5 with his leader, which makes me think he's gonna play a 10-drop as well. He's taking his time to think here. Yeah, it's 5, so I'm gonna go ahead and free block that one. And he loads up, swings 8 into 6. I could 2k 1k out of this one. I don't remember what I go for. We have a lot of counter in trash already, but yeah, I'm gonna. All right, he plays the Kid here to trash 1 life. So Kid is always gonna be a target to freeze with Crocodile here. That's the biggest threat he has on board. First, we're gonna poke on the Viper to see if he will let it go. Counters the first one and lets him go. Then we poke 10 into Kid. We're just trying to eat up his hand at this point. Okay. Use the leader effect to give a minus cost to Kid. Freeze Kikunojo, play out the second Croc, and freeze Kid as well. So he can swing with Soro this turn if he wants to. He swings 5 again. Probably should free block. No, that's right. I intended to free block, but I had already accidentally clicked past the block option. So I had to counter out of that one instead. 6 here, so he's likely gonna play a 10-drop Enel, I believe. So we give him a 2k here, and yeah, there's the Enel. Now we block this one. Alright. So here, I believe this is the turn we go for game, actually. Because Enel only has 4 cards in hand. And we know his last life. Okay, maybe not this turn then. No, I remember it wrong. Okay, so we poke into Enel, the character. Gives us another card. Then we play the Nightmare Luffy. We're gonna pop Croc and freeze the Enel here. So we have a ground death and double 1k in hand. We're gonna have to take some hits this turn, but we are a 7k leader now, thanks to the Nightmare Luffy. So I believe I'm gonna use the ground death here to get out of the first one. This guarantees we survive, unless he would have had another rush or something. Okay, so we can go down to 0 life here without too much worries. So now it's time to go for game. We start with a 9k. We know he's not gonna get a trigger here, so we poke 10 again. Will he take this one or not? This is really, really good information for us here, that we know the last card is a brick without a trigger. He used up double You're the One Who Should Disappear as well, so that makes it less likely he has one in trash. Yeah, okay. We take that one, and he had a third You're the One Who Should Disappear in hand, and the last life he got was a brick, another kid. So against Yellow Enel, you basically want to do just what we did here. Set up your late game with multiple big bodies, so you can get many big swings in at once when you go for a game. And we purposely kept him at 2 lives, simply because we didn't want him to get extra value from his 10-drop Enel, because that card can only heal if you have 1 or less life. Then you trash 1 from hand when attacking, heal 1, and give him plus 1k power for the battle. So we kept him at 2 life, and then just tried to set up for the finishing turn, like we did here. Okay, good game to our opponent. Now we have one more game to go through. Okay, this is a less meta relevant matchup, but I included it anyway. Belo Betty is a super aggressive deck, so whenever the meta is a bit slower, there's always a risk you could end up playing against a Belo Betty. So I thought I'd include this one anyway. As I said earlier, I just logged into the sim, played 6 games, and just took 5 of them and included them in today's video. So let's see what we do here. Okay. In case you're not used to playing against Belo Betty, she was very meta relevant in OP11 for a while there. You basically don't want to swing at her life anytime, unless you have complete board control and you're trying to set up for lethal. But otherwise, you just want to go board, because if you swing at her life, she will most likely get trigger bodies out. So her game plan is to flood the board, use the leader effect to bump her characters up, like she did right now, and go for a lot of big swings. So here he gave our character minus 1k power. They will try to delete our board, which is not something we're gonna let them do. We want to have multiple swings into her board, and we're gonna focus on that Karasu for now. Try a 5k, because Belo Betty traditionally don't want to save her bodies on the field a lot. She don't have much counter. She's mostly like all gas. She does end up countering though, so we're gonna punish her for that, playing out another Dust Bones, and she gives another 2k counter for that. So now she's really low in hand, which is great for us, because Belo Betty, while she has a ton of gas, she eventually runs out of gas, and that's when you can just take over the game completely and win. Our leader is at 3k power this turn though, which is pretty bad, so we're gonna have to take a lot of a lot of hits here. 6 into 3. Those Karasus can be super troublesome. We gotta counter out here. And despite that, we have to go down to 0 life this turn, which feels bad. We'd rather not do that, obviously. On the positive note though, our opponent has 0 cards in hand, so we can freely clear all the rest of the bodies here, leaving only 2. And we cannot play a Croc to freeze both characters on our opponent's field, because then they would just load up and swing for 15 with their leader, since we're at 0 life and we wouldn't have any blocker on the field. So instead we're gonna search, and we find a blocker. So the game plan here is to play the blocker, save at least 3 Dawn up for the ground deaths in hand. Now the risky part, we want to set up for lethal on our coming turn, and to ensure we can get lethal next turn, we gotta poke down our opponent a bit here, down to 2 life. The risk though is that they can get more bodies on the field, which makes it harder for us to survive this next turn. But the more bodies she has on the field, the smaller each of the swings will be. So we'll see what happens. And she does end up getting 1 trigger body out. Still gonna poke one more time here to get her down to 2 life. So now we play a blocker and keep the rest of the Dawn up for ground death. But we only have 1 counter card apart from the ground deaths in hand. They play Ivankov into Lindbergh. Probably they hoped they would find another Karasu to make our leader a 3k leader this turn, or a Rush Inazuma, so they could get another swing in. So they didn't end up getting any value from that play, which helped us a ton. It would probably have been just wiser for them to split between these existing 4 swings here. So with this setup, we have 1 blocker that can grab a 2k back from life. We have a 1k and triple ground death. So our leader will be a 4k leader. So here we're just calculating what they can do. They go for an 8 now into 4. This is probably gonna have to be countered, because then they can go 7, 8, 9 after that, between the leader, the Bartolomeo Kuma, and the Ivankov. So probably gonna counter out this one with a ground death and 1k, yeah. And ideally want to block the Ivankov swing. Yep, because then we can grab a 2k, and now they go for 10, and we can survive this one. Double ground death, and then we have a 2k for this last swing. So yeah, good game to our opponent. They did end up almost throwing the game by playing this 5-drop Ivankov. However, had they found another Karasu or Rush Inazuma, they would have had game. So that was a bit of a gamble, and it did not end up in their favor. Otherwise, they would have had 5 more Don to split between these attacks, and they would have won. But that happens. Against Belo Betty, you always want to try to control board until you have a good setup to go for game, because her steam will run out, and when it does, it's usually pretty easy to win. Alright, good game to all of our opponents. That was the last game of today's video. Let's jump back to the deck list and go through some final thoughts. Okay, so once again, this is the list we ran for the games in today's video. As I said at some point in the video, all the games included today were ranked games, but I haven't played very much ranked for a long time, so we're really low in elo, around 300 bounty, 300 million bounty. So I will be trying to slowly climb up. Every now and then I'm gonna jump in to play some ranked games so we can get a higher elo and some better quality games in. Either way, I think we were able to showcase what this deck can do, and I'm gonna have to try and go against more of the OP15 leaders as well to see if Crocodile can really be viable in the OP15 meta. But this new card, although it's the only new card we have from OP15, it's a really, really good one. This is probably one of the best decks to play this card apart from Brook, because this is one of the best milling decks that can make use of his effects. And it can be really strong to be bumped to a 7k leader on opponent's turn. So it's a super fun deck, and it feels like a toolkit deck, I would say, because you have a lot of effects that aren't traditionally black effects, like for example this 2k that can give one of your opponent's zero cost characters minus 3k power for the turn, so you can go for more effective board control with that one. You have more card cycling, as you saw me do in the video when I didn't have searchers in hand and really had to try to draw into better cards. I used this to cycle cards. Draw to trash 2 can be really, really useful. Also to set up the trash and fill up the trash with these 5 cost bodies that you want in trash for when you pop the Bonfly. Also, this one can be a really good utility 2k when you play against decks that uses 1-cost stages, like the new Lucy or Rebecca, and also Mihawk if you end up playing against a Mihawk. This can be good to slow them down by KOing their 1-cost stage, and also you get to draw a card. The Sala is super good because it helps your board to be more protected against blue removal. As long as you have 1 Sala on the field and 7 or more cards in trash, Sala herself becomes a 7k, but then all your Brokeworks characters gets +2 cost. And this can stack, so if you have 2 Salas on the field, that's +4 cost for all your Brokeworks characters. So 1 Sala on the field makes it so that your 5 drops will be 7 costs. So then they cannot be hit with a Grab Blade, for example. That can be really, really useful when going up against blue specifically. And this is a really good utility blocker that helps you filter cards in hand. As you saw in the Emu game, this can be super useful when you want to go for game to rest one of your opponent's blockers with the help of the leader effect. Also, it's good in the early through mid game to control the board. If you want to starve your opponent, for example, you can play this and rest your opponent's characters to swing at their board instead. This is a super good card that you, generally speaking, always want to play before your first croc to flood the board with one of the 5 drops from the Bone Clay into, for example, a Searcher, or one of these to help control the board even more. You could for example play Miss All Sunday into Bone Clay into Miss Wednesday, and Bone Clay plays out the Dust Bones and rests one of their characters that you have given minus cost with the leader effect. Then you use this effect to give that now rested character minus 3k power, and you swing into it with the Dust Bones and the leader, for example. That's something you can do to help control the board better. And obviously, this is the boss monster of the deck. You want to chain these late game to perma-freeze 2 of your opponent's characters while building up a super strong board for yourself, setting up for your end game. I definitely like this new addition to the deck though, that can really help you survive more easily through the late game. And the fact that it's not a brick is insane to me. It's crazy good, because then it's always good to have in hand, at least as a 1k counter. There were times where I could have used more patchworks, but overall I honestly feel like it's okay to only have 2, because it came up in at least one of the games. I got to use one of the patchworks, and I feel like the value you get from this new card is just so incredibly good. And I don't want to cut down any more on my 5 cost targets in favor of another patchwork, because I always want to make sure I have targets for the Bone Clays in trash. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Not too much has changed other than this card. The list I played before OP15 looked like this. So I had already cut down 1 patchwork by then, but I played 4 Salas, 4 Dust Bones, 3 Mr. 5. So I had a lot of targets for the Bone Clays. So I basically just went down a Sala, patchwork, Dust Bones, and Mr. 5, and added 4 of these instead. So a super fun deck, a deck that really feels like a toolkit deck to me, and it's super fun to play, super rewarding when you can make certain combos to rest your opponent's characters, negate their blockers and stuff like that. It's an incredibly fun control deck in my opinion. So that's it for today's video. I will probably be posting more Crocodile videos in the future as well. And thank you so much for watching until the end. If you did, please like and subscribe if you want to see more of my videos in the future. And feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know what is your favorite deck to play and what do you plan on playing in OP15. Until the next one, thank you for watching and take care.